Hi guys and welcome. In today's video, I want to show you the greatest mini survival tin ever created. So stick around and I will walk you through this little thing I got here, this little contraption. And if you like this, I do have them for sale on eBay. But if you don't like it, maybe there's something you would tweak. At least maybe this will give you an idea on how to make your own. Anyway, let's get to it. So when I was putting this together, I did a lot of research and experimentation and studying what would work, what wouldn't. And I wanted to put something together that hit 7 main criteria. So first of all, I wanted it to hit all of the main survival needs, namely water, shelter, fire, food acquisition, self-protection, signaling, first aid, night vision, and orientation. Also, I wanted to make sure that everything in this kit is is multi-use. So everything in this tin has at least 3 uses. Also along those lines, another criteria is 0 waste. I didn't want any trash. And part of that, is we need to protect the environment and not destroy it. But also, I'm trying to think through the gamut of survival situations. I am assuming the worst. So when I'm putting this thing together, I'm assuming that you're in a very bad, dire situation. Either there's a massive act of God and you're having to evacuate, or I don't know, maybe there are bad guys after you, I'm trying to assume the worst and what you would need to survive for a while if you needed to. So that includes the 0 waste aspect. A lot of these survival tins will come with a lot of vacuum packing or paper wrappers and all this stuff. And once you start getting into all that stuff, you have all this trash. So you're either going to have to burn it or you're going to have to take the trash with you. And I don't want you leaving anything behind that a bad guy would use to track you, So I didn't want any trash in this, nothing that you would throw away. The 4th criteria is I wanted my survival tin to help you for an indefinite survival time. Most, especially pre-packaged survival tins, are intended to get you through 24 hours. Well, that's great for most people because most people are rescued within 24 hours. But what about the people who aren't? So I wanted everything in this kit that if you used it correctly and sparingly, you'd be able to survive for a while, or at least more than 24 hours, okay? So that's what I'm thinking about putting this together. 5th criterion was I wanted this to be used by people with a wide ability range. So whether you are a burly ex-military bushcrafting man, or if you are a petite woman, or if you are a complete Kardashian and you have no idea how to survive in the wild, I wanted to include items in this kit that you could easily figure out how to use and put them together. And even if you've never camped or survived or spent the night outside, you could figure it out, okay? But even if you are an experienced bushcrafter, you'll be able to use this stuff, obviously. 6th criteria is I am dancing a line between quality and affordability. So, survival and camping and all backpacking, you can be spending a lot of money to do these things. And I want to make it as affordable as possible, but I also want the items in here to hold up. So what I did was I looked for the highest quality items for the lowest possible price point, and I think I did a good job. So the 6th criterion, though, is that I wanted it all to fit into the smallest possible size. So I don't know if you watched my compact survival kit, that a circular shape is the hardest shape to fill with survival items. But there is a reason that this one is circular. You'll find out at the end. Anyway, this is very small, okay? It's 3 inches in diameter. It's a little thicker than an inch. It weighs 9 ounces altogether. which, some people might think that that's a little heavy. But it's just over half a pound. And for what we've got going on in here, I think you'll agree that just over half a pound, that's a good weight for what we have. All right, so right away, we flip around to the back and we see that there's this emergency blanket. I included this blanket as kind of an afterthought. And my reason was because after thinking about it, I realized, in situations I've been in my life too, you're in the most dire straits in the evening/nighttime. For instance, if you get into a bind in the morning, you have all day to figure out what to do to fix your situation. Likewise, if you get into a bind in the morning and you have to hunker down, you have all day to build yourself a shelter. But most people get into dire straits in the evening or night, and that's why it becomes a survival issue, is because it's the hardest time of day to survive is the night. All right, so the reason I'm including this blanket is because I don't know what kind of weather you're going to be encountering. And I know, me personally, okay, I'm a woman, me personally, the hardest aspect of survival is shelter building. So I don't know if you are a big burly man, maybe putting together a shelter is really easy for you. But for me, building a shelter is the hardest part. And making a shelter waterproof, rainproof, takes hours. So I'm including this emergency blanket in case you need it for rain protection and you have to throw together a shelter and hunker down for the night. This is going to at least keep rain off of you. And if you are in a cold environment, it's not going to keep you warm, but it'll at least stave off the frost. So this is a good item to have, and I'm sorry it doesn't fit anywhere in the kit, but you can at least just attach it to the back and it will all stay together. So now coming in, if I'm in a survival situation, this is the first thing I'm going to just take off and put in my pocket and keep. But you can see without the blanket, it holds together quite nicely as a one and done item. But it has this nifty little keychain on it. So that's really nice. You can attach this to a bug out bag. Or if you go for a walk, you could attach this to your belt loop and then you don't even have to hold on to it. It's also small enough altogether. It'll fit inside a purse or a briefcase or even a diaper bag. Which incidentally, if you have small children, don't let them play with this because there are dangerous objects in here that this is not intended for children. So keep this away from your kids. All right, so let's start to take it apart and talk about what we have going on in here. Incidentally, this is going to be part 1 in a whole host of videos that I'm going to make about this kit. This video, I'm just walking you through the criteria. Obviously, I've already done that. And I'm going to just show you what's in this kit. In subsequent videos is where I'm going to show you what you can use all these things for in case it's not abundantly apparent. So anyways, this video is just to show you what's going on. So first of all, we have this piece of elastic. This is 12 inches long and it's black and it's about 8 millimeters wide. And on the end of it is this cord lock. The cord lock is going to come in a whole host of random colors. So if you order this kit yourself, your lock might not be this gray color. It might be yellow, who knows. Anyways, everything else in this kit is going to be the way you see it, except for, I do have to caveat one more thing, some of the bracelets. I do have some red bracelets because I like red better than camo. Most people like camo though, so the majority of the kits are going to come with camo. But for a limited time, you will be able to get a red bracelet if you want it. All right, so talking about the bracelet now. This is an a survival paracord bracelet. It is 9 inches long, so you see it is quite large on my hand. But even for somebody like me, I would highly recommend you could adjust it, like cut it and then adjust it to your size. I would highly recommend not doing that just so that you keep all your paracord together until you need it. But it is 9 inches around and it includes in it 3.8 yards of paracord. So just over 11 feet of paracord. It's 7-core paracord, meaning there are 7 strands inside the paracord that you can use for things like fishing line. And the latch is super cool because on the front of the bracelet you have a working compass and you have a very loud whistle and you have a little knife. And you can use this little knife to make a feather stick to start a fire. It's not going to give you much protection if you're attacked or anything, but there's a few other little things you could do with it. You could whittle yourself a fish hook, for instance. But the main use of this is with the other side of the latch, which includes a ferro rod. So this is so cool because you have the ability to start a fire right here with this bracelet. And the advantage of having the ferro rod in your bracelet is the fact that most survival tins come with a separate ferro rod and they're really easy to lose because you're sitting there over the fire trying to make a fire, and then sometimes people drop their ferro rod into the fire or they set it down while they're doing something else and they can't find it again. So the advantage of having your ferro rod inside your bracelet is the fact that after you start your fire, you can just put your bracelet back on and then you always have it. Plus the fact that when you're making a fire, you have this in both of your hands. So if you happen to drop one side, you're still holding on to it. So you're less likely to lose your fire making capability when you're wearing it like this. All right, so now getting into the tin. So the tin you see, the tin itself is very shiny. And not all of them are this shiny. Some of them I have are a little more brushed. These are stainless steel. All of them are stainless steel, but some of them, like the one, my own personal one is like a brushed steel. It's still a little shiny. In a pinch, you could use this as a signal mirror, but let's open it up. So inside, if I can get it open. Oh my gosh, okay. So inside is, we see right away that it has a nice lid to it. And this is nice because a lot of survival tins have just like a hinge lid, and then if you need something in your tin, you have to kind of like scramble around and dig through it and figure out where to put your stuff while you're digging through your tin. So if it's raining and it's muddy, you're gonna have to put all your stuff on the muddy ground. What's nice about this is that the lid is the same size as the tin itself, so you can transfer all the items into the lid and keep them from falling all over the place. So that's nice. All right, so inside the tin we have a piece of double-sided adhesive. It's a little bit foamy, and this gives you just a little bit of protection for some of these items here at the top. Namely, this is a Fresnel lens. So you can magnify with it. But the main reason I'm including a Fresnel lens is to give you a redundancy on fire making. And it's unlimited. You can make multiple fires with this. You never deplete a Fresnel lens because it always is what it is. Incidentally, I'm a total novice at this kind of stuff, and I went outside yesterday afternoon and I started a fire in 30 seconds. So that works really well. You just harness the power of the sun and you can start a fire in 30 seconds. Now, if you order this kit from me, I'm not going to give you the lens like this because you can see it's kind of wonky the way I've cut it. But that's because I cut it because I wanted it to fit inside my tin. I'm going to give you a fully intact Fresnel lens that comes in plastic because not everybody wants to put their Fresnel lens inside their kit. But if you do, you can just set it down and trace a line and then cut it. But it's up to you what you want to do with it. I want to give it to you in the most pristine form, so it's going to come like this. Anyways, my lens looks like this. And to keep it protected, I have this scrap of 100% linen. There's a reason it's linen, which I will tell you later. But for now, this linen I'm using to protect the Fresnel lens and to protect the signal mirror. So this is a nice signal mirror. It's 2 inches in diameter. You'll notice that it's not flat. It's convex. There's a reason for that. So come back and I will tell you why in the next video. But again, I have this linen here to protect this mirror because most kits will give you a signal mirror, but it's covered in plastic, and as soon as you take that plastic off, then you're at the mercy of the elements, and a lot of times signal mirrors get scratched or broken. So that's another reason I have that linen there in the top to protect that. All right, next item, super cool. It's this little sorry, I'm tongue-tied. This little mini LED light, super lightweight. If you are familiar with most survival kits, they give you a light like this, which is nice. It's bright, but the disadvantage is, number one, there's only one bulb in it. Number two, you have to hold the button down in order to shine the light. In a survival situation, I'm willing to bet that you're going to need both of your hands. So having a light in one hand is probably not going to be advantageous. So this light is going to give you hands-free capability, which I will show you in a second. Another thing that I think is cool about it is that it's rechargeable, and I'm including the USB cable so that you can charge it. I would advise keeping it fully charged before you go out with this kit, because the light it'll last for a couple of hours, but compared to one that takes batteries, I'm not exactly sure how they measure up together, but I would just say make sure that it's charged before you go out. This light also comes with a piece of Velcro that is adhesive. You just peel that back and you can stick it anywhere. But let me show you the hands-free capability. So it has a little rubber band attached to it. If we come back to our elastic, you can attach the elastic with the rubber band, and you have yourself a really cool mini headlamp. How cool is that? And the light is very, very bright. Right now, daylight is coming in, so it doesn't seem that bright, but if you look at this for any length of time, it will blind you. Now, this headlamp has so many different features. I can't get to them all in this video, so please come back. There are over 20 different settings, 7 different colors. There are SOS lights in this, and there's also something I've never seen in a light before, which is emergency vehicle lights, which is super cool. If you're being pursued by bad guys, you could turn on the emergency vehicle lights and set this down somewhere, and they might be thrown off and think that you called the cops. So, really cool function. Come back and see all that in my next couple of videos. Now, next thing that I needed in my kit, I knew I wanted a knife, and I knew that I wanted an actual knife. For some reason, in pre-made survival kits, even the military ones, the blade that they give you is like a glorified razor blade. It might fold out of a pocket or something, but they're really thin, paper thin, and really bad quality. And I wanted to have a knife. Now, I'm not going to say that this knife is the best quality or anything, but it is surgical steel. It needed to fit inside my kit, so it needed to be small, which this is part of the reason that when the lid is on, it doesn't quite fit flush. But if you take the knife out and put the lid on, it will close completely. You can take this knife out and hang it on the keychain, and then you have it all together, and then your knife is easy to get to. Anyway, the things I really like about this knife are, this is plastic, but it is a heavy duty plastic, but it's lightweight, and it has the tab opening, like with your thumb. You can open it with one hand. It's half serrated, so really good for making feather sticks. And the function about this knife that is greater than any other survival kit, like mini survival kit that I've seen, is the fact that this blade is a locking blade. I've never seen that in any of the pocket knives or mini knives that come in these mini survival kits. So that was really important to me, that it be a locking blade, because especially if you're being attacked, you know, you don't want the blade to close back onto your fingers, right? You want to be able to protect yourself. And when you're doing different tasks, you want to make sure that your fingers are protected. So that is a really good, cool function about that. When it's closed, it's 2.5 inches. And when it's fully extended, it's 4 inches. So, I mean, for being a tiny blade, to me, this is pretty decent and affordable. It's decent, but affordable, still affordable. Okay. Next thing in here, this is reusable tinder. So I'll walk you through how to use this, but it's reusable, okay? What I think is so cool about that is the fact that most mini tins, they'll give you 5 to 8 cotton balls that are dipped in wax. And once you light them, they're gone. And meanwhile, they take up like half your tin and then they burn up. So this is very small. It's fiberglass and this is reusable. So I'll show you how to do that, but it doesn't take up a whole lot of room in your tin. So that's really cool. Now you may notice that there is a lack of Band-Aids and fish hooks and sewing needles. Part of the reason I left those things out is because not everybody uses all of them. And also, those are all things that you have. And if you don't have them, you can come by them quite easily. But, you know, I thought about it for a while and I'm like, you know, I'm not going to include things like ibuprofen because some people are allergic to ibuprofen. You already have medicine. You already have Band-Aids. And if you don't have Band-Aids, I don't know what to tell you other than, why don't you go out and get you some Band-Aids because you're probably going to need them. You have Band-Aids, you have cotton balls, you have things like that. You can put those things in this tin. I wanted to provide things that are not so easy to come by and things that you would definitely need in a survival situation. So put your own Band-Aids in here, put your own medicine in here, and I'm including this piece of clear plastic for a reason, but I'll come back to it. The reason I have that plastic in there is because the bottom of the tin, this is probably the coolest thing about this whole tin, and I don't know how I'm the only person who's thought of this. Have any of you seen a survival tin this cool, where the tin itself turns into a cup? Because I have never seen this before. And I think this is such a good idea, especially because of the criteria that I wanted to hit where you need to be able to survive for more than 24 hours. And you know, most mini tins will give you water purification tabs, but they don't give you a receptacle to put them in. Or if they do give you a receptacle, it's a folded up plastic bag that you can't really use other than with those tabs. Like you can't boil water in a plastic bag. So that's what I think is so cool about this kit is as long as you make a fire and you have a water source, you have drinkable water. All you have to do is boil it in this cup. And even though it's collapsible, if you pull it out firmly and twist it a little bit, you can boil water in this. Stabilize it, make sure it's stable enough. You can boil water in this. I've boiled water in mine and it works just fine. Just make sure that it's fully extended and it will work. Another cool feature about this is the fact that if it's in your purse or briefcase, you could use this as your cup at work to drink out of. It doesn't look weird. It's not like some weird camping equipment. This looks like a normal cup. So you could use this every day. A lot of these items, you could use this knife every day, you know? You could use the light. A lot of these things are usable in your regular life, but also come in really handy in a survival situation. So, I mean, how cool is that? I think that's so super cool. And that brings me back to why I have this piece of clear plastic. This clear plastic, okay, so a lot of times when people make their own tins, they will tape fish hooks and sewing needles and medication, things like that. They'll tape it to the inside of their tin. But to me, I don't want to have tape residue in my drinking receptacle. So I'm giving you this piece of clear plastic so that you can tape all your little items to it, and that way you won't lose your little items, but you're also not interfering with your food, like you could cook food in this too, not just boil water. You could cook food in this lid, you know? I mean, this is truly a very good mini survival situation going on. So anyways, the other reason that it's clear is just in case your tape is like black electrical tape or something. If you tape all your items down with that, you'll still be able to see what the items are because it's clear. So that's why that is there. Now, last little item included in this kit, if I can get it out. Let me get my knife. So it's this little coil of copper wire. You gonna come out? There we go. It's 2 feet of 24 gauge copper wire, which comes in handy for a lot of different reasons. So watch my next videos and I'll walk you through all the different things that you can use these things for. And you see that this wire just fits nicely on the perimeter outside of the cup, and that way it doesn't take up any room on the inside for your other items. So very cool. I love this kit. I think it's so cool and so well thought out, if I do say so myself. So please come back to my next videos and I will walk you through all the different multiple uses for all these different items. And isn't that just so cool? Isn't that the coolest thing you've ever seen? I think it's so awesome. All right, and one last thing. For a limited time, I'm going to include this zipper case. The supplies for this are very limited though, so first come, first serve. But the zipper case is nice because then if you want to wear your bracelet and use your elastic for something else, then you can keep the whole kit together and you don't have to worry about the lid coming off or anything. And one little advantage too to the zipper case is there's an extra little pocket. So here's your little pocket for your Band-Aids or your sewing kit or whatever you would like to put in there. And if you don't want to use this case, you could use this for a small camera or some other travel need. You could fill this with extra stuff in addition to your tin. So thank you for watching, and I hope that you liked what you saw, and stick around because I've got all kinds of videos coming on how to use all this stuff in a survival situation. Thank you. Bye-bye.